Get it? Get it? Because it's Scream? Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Super Series Tuesday. And for today we will be covering the third of four iconic horror movie franchises, and that is going to be Scream. Scream was released in 1996. It was directed by Wes Craven, R.I.P. Wes Craven, and stars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette. A year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl and her friends are terrorized by a new killer who uses horror films as a part of a deadly game. So as you already know, Scream is included in the iconic horror films category. It has done so much for the genre that you would even recognize, but if you just go back and look at early 2000s and late 90s horror movies, you will see what an influence that Scream had on them. It completely shook up the genre with its meta humor, as well as being satirical in all aspects. It makes fun of itself, it makes fun of other horror movies, and in doing so also delivers a thrilling experience of its own. So to kick off the positives for Scream, I'm going to go right at the cast, because the cast overall is amazing. Everyone plays their parts outstandingly. Neve Campbell as the hero, the final girl, the centerpiece of this story. She really does fight back. For the most part, they fight back. You look at Friday the 13th, she chops Mrs. Voorhees' head off. You look at Nightmare on Elm Street, she sets up these Home Alone style traps. But Neve Campbell literally kicks the crap out of the killer. I mean, there are multiple times where she'll just slam a door into his face, kick him right over, like she'll just, they attack her on the ground. But rather than most girls where they just kind of in horror movies get attacked to the ground, or they just struggle, or they be choked to death, or whatever. No, she puts her legs up onto them, flips them right over her head like it's absolutely nothing. She really does fight back, quite literally, and she's kick-ass in this movie. As well as Courtney Cox playing Gale Weathers. She is another one that you would love to hate her. You hate her so much because she's just always worried about the next story, what's going to get her into fame and stardom. But in the same sense, she has this beautiful innocence to her, and she is really one that fights back as well, and she is always super entertaining. And then you look at David Arquette as Deputy Dewey. Just the name itself is hilarious, but he plays his role fantastically. And Matthew Lillard as Stu. That's probably the role he's most well known for, aside from playing Shaggy in Scooby-Doo, which I grew up knowing him as. But he is so over the top and so damn entertaining as Stu. I can see why people always refer to him as Stu, and even to this day he says he still gets people quoting Scream and asking him about the character of Stu and whatnot. And of course, Skeet Ulrich as well. He does a fantastic job being creepy Billy Loomis. And then you have Jamie Kennedy playing Randy, who's the horror movie buff. He, as well, he's super funny. He has this almost kind of weird, quirky, nerdy charm to him that you really enjoy seeing him on screen. And next is probably the thing that most people know Scream for, and that is the fact that it has its meta and satirical tone, which means that it's self-aware. It knows what it is. It plays on that. They constantly reference other movies. They even go as far as to literally show Halloween being played during the movie. They reference Halloween, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Prom Night, constantly referencing these movies. And of course, Randy has his rules, which is true. The virgin always survives till the end. Never say, "I'll be right back." Never drink or do drugs, so on and so forth. They are almost aware that they're in a horror movie. They always say too, it's not like this is some movie. And they even towards the end they quote, "Not in my movie," or they say things like, "Life is a movie." It's very self-aware, and it was a movie that was unlike any other for its time. Now, of course, it's been attempted. It has multiple sequels. It's been replicated time and time again. But this, the original one, literally turned critics and audiences upside down and just spun them in circles, trying to make sense of what is going on right now. Wait, what? They understand that these things happen in every horror movie? It was really something special for its time, and even when you go back and watch it now, it is phenomenal. And next to the fact that this movie is just so smart, along with its meta and satirical stuff, it's also smart because it plays on those tropes and makes sense of them. For one, how they always say, Sydney says on the phone, "Oh, it's about some big-breasted girl being hunted by a killer, and she always goes upstairs rather than going out the front door." That happens in this movie, but it's because 2 seconds earlier, Sydney locks the door, so when she goes to run back out the front door, like she makes fun of in other horror movies, it's locked. It makes sense of these things, or why the killer can't do this, why the victims do this, why the killer does that, so on and so forth, but it makes sense of them. It makes smart ways to get around them. It explains everything to try and fight off those tropes. I find this movie honestly gets better on the rewatch. You pick up on so many other things, so many other tropes, and you pick up on the little hints on who the killer actually is. And that stuff, to me, was just something you could go ooh and ah, and this makes this movie instantly and always rewatchable. Now, of course, this movie is thrilling all the way through. It's funny, it's smart, it's charming, it is all of the above. But I want to put a little extra emphasis on that iconic opening with Drew Barrymore. The opening 15 minutes or so are some of the best opening minutes in a horror film ever made. It is shocking, it is scary, it is intriguing, it is everything you want it to be and that much more. It still holds up supremely well today. People try and replicate it and they just simply cannot beat these first 15 minutes. Also, the ending with the blood-soaked finale that takes place at Stu's home, that is something else as well. When I mean blood-soaked, I mean blood-soaked. It is hair-raising, it is blood-curdling, and especially the twist on who the killer is. I cannot imagine, me now watching it, it blew my mind. I cannot imagine how audiences react back in '96, because it's pretty well common knowledge now who the killer is, so I can only imagine when it was first revealed what people must have reacted like. And one last little positive is just the Wes Craven cameo in this. If you spotted it, good for you. If you didn't, look it up. It's hilarious. You'll realize it's him and what he's referencing, and it's just wonderful. And there's only two small negatives for this movie. One that's always kind of bothered me, and it goes through all the Scream movies, is just the over-dramaticness of the killer, but when he's actually just masked being killed, and by that I mean just, you know, when someone kicks him or throws something at him and he just sprawls out of the way, or he slips on a rug and does like a full-blown backflip, or, you know, he bounces off the walls, or, like I said, someone just like rips their arm away and he's like, whoa, and just flings across the room. Like, that stuff, the overdramatic stuff, I don't need it, because for the most part the movie is brutally realistic, so I don't need my killer slipping on a banana peel and doing 6 backflips before landing on his ass and then getting up and playing the game again. And lastly, there are just some scenes in particular that I really feel are not necessary for this movie. It clocks in, I believe, 1 hour and 51 minutes. I truly don't feel like the movie needs to be that long. There are some scenes that I just really don't see why they're in there. Like, there's a scene with the principal, and I get that what happens at the end of the scene is used later on to kind of clear out the party to set up for the finale, but you could have used 110 other excuses to get everybody out of there. So a few scenes here and there, I just really felt like weren't necessary. You could have kind of just chopped them out, removed them, and the movie would have flowed the exact same to me. So folks, those are my thoughts on Scream. Personally, I love this movie. Like I said, I've watched it tons of times now, and every time I rewatch it, I feel like I'm always finding something new to enjoy about it. For all of those reasons, that's why I love Scream so much, and I'm going to be giving Scream an 8 out of 10. So if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know, what are your thoughts on Scream? Do you believe it belongs in the Horror Movie Hall of Fame, or do you think it's just another slasher? And be sure to hit me up on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links will be in the description and at the end of the video. And be sure to check out my Instagram page every Friday for the Fan Vote Friday. The finale, the grand finale of the Halloween Challenge for the Fan Vote Friday is taking place this Friday, October 26th. Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers. Yes, again, I will reiterate for people commenting on the Instagram post, it is a fan vote. It is not based off my decisions or anyone else's. It is strictly based off of the votes that you place on my Instagram story. So be sure you check it out and be sure you vote, because this is it, folks. We are crowning the ultimate winner of the Halloween Challenge. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Laurie Strode is back again, even though she died.